Hello everyone, SoariN here. A couple days ago I beat Sinister 16, the Sinister 16 of Animator's Hell. Animator's Hell, I have to elaborate how much I love that game. It is possibly one of the best FNAF fan games out there, especially, you know, FNAF UCN fan games. It is a really well balanced, really well put together, and just a good looking game. I highly suggest you check it out for yourself. You will enjoy it. But at the moment, the production for the full game, because it's in a demo at the moment, is still under a hiatus, I suppose. So yeah, they're planning to have like 25 characters, I think. But at the moment, Sinister 16 is the most you're going to get. And I had my mindset that I was going to beat it no matter what. I'm going to show you today how I beat it, methods that you can use for if you want to beat it. I am going to show you the video. I'm going to I will pause it at moments that I think are important. I'll tell you I'll give you the tips and the tricks that I use to deal with the characters in the game. From my experience, there's no one character that is the most difficult to deal with, because it's more the fact that at certain times of the night, all of them will be thrown at you at the same time. That is the worst thing ever, but there is still ways around it, which I'll explain in a minute. So the first thing you'll need to do before you go straight into 16 mode is obviously practice with other characters. Go from the easiest down to the hardest, incremental scores. What I did is I did the first 4, then I did the next 4, so that's 8, and then from there I increased based on the characters that I felt were easiest to deal with. My previous score before 1600 was 1200, and that was because I included Sunny, Valentina, Pangle, and Half-Skull. I believe these are much easier to deal with than these two and these 3. Shadows and BW1 I'll get onto in a minute. Pac-Man, or Zaplord, or whatever you want to call him, he is just the worst. But other than that, yeah, just like I said, practice with different characters. Try and switch it up, unlike what I did. I didn't switch up characters to see how they interacted with each other, which was a thing I wish I had done. Instead, I just went straight into it, and as soon as I got 12, I was like, yeah, that's it. We got to put the rest of it in and just practice from there. And it took a long time. Before we go into this, you're probably going to hear my other self playing the game, because as you can see, I've just I've just hidden my webcam behind the webcam I'm using now. As you go into the run, you are going to just wait. Just hold on until power goes down to about 97%, because nothing will happen up until that point. As you can see, I go at 98, I shine Ender to get rid of his tentacles, get rid of Spider when I flip up the camera, and then you'll hear Luna in your left, right, or both. And that will tell you, that will indicate which event you got to close. Very easy, very simple, and that will happen about 97%. He's the first character you'll have to deal with in general, but after that you will have to... So here I've got my camera set to cam 10. Cam 10 is the pixel, or the puppet knockoff. Just keep that wound up until you need to do something, because nothing will really happen up until the end of 12 AM. The 2 cameras you need to keep an eye on: Cam 10, Cam 8B, which is this one here, and this one is where Shadows and BW1 will be. And as soon as both of them are on the camera together, that is when you use the camera beacon, which you can't see because my webcam's in the way. It doesn't save power necessarily if you use the beacon on them both at the same time, because it will still drain 2% instead of 1% of your power. What it does is it saves time, which is important. Now, Valentina is a weird one. I definitely don't handle Valentina very well, because I'm so concentrating on the noises of Luna and Tornado, which is like 100% auditory. Valentina can run from the left to the right, or the right to the left. That is the wrong way. Right to the left, left to the right. But I'm never paying attention to that, so what I do is I just close both doors, which uses up a lot of power. Don't do that. So I'm going to get onto Pac-Man now. Pac-Man is awful. Reason being is because the fruit will spawn in 4 different places on the maze. In the top left, top right, bottom right. And the ghosts have individual patterns in which they move around the maze, which is relatively easy to memorize. Here's where the luck comes into this run and this game. The orange ghost is the absolute easiest to deal with because he just goes around in a circle and it's easy to tell where he's going. Red, not so much, but is okay. Blue goes back like this, like back and forth, and the pink one I don't even understand. Somehow in this run, not once did I have a fruit near the pink ghost, so I got very lucky. And there you can see the thing happened there. Both of them were on the same camera. Use the camera beacon and you won't have to bother with them. I worked out that shadows and BW1 on that camera will spawn together on the camera about twice every hour, except for 12 AM, which they will only spawn once. And at 5 AM, well, 5 AM is a bit tricky. I will have to explain 5 AM later in the video. As soon as Night Marina shows up for the first time, 3 things will always happen at once. Tornado will appear in the right vent, sorry. Tornado will appear in the right vent, and Sunny will need to be reset for the boiler. That always happens at the same time, which is kind of weird, because it's supposed to be randomized, but it's not, because that happens always. So just flick up your camera, close the right vent, reset the boiler, and that always happens at around the end of 12 AM. Okay, so it's 1 AM now. You need to keep an eye on the clock always because of Pangle. He's pretty easy to deal with, but at the same time, sometimes it's easy to misread the clock. But yeah, just keep an eye on the clock. Go on cam 11. Just don't forget that he exists. Now, also at about 1 AM, close the left vent and leave it closed for the rest of the night. Brady is very unpredictable, and he uses up a lot of time if you're toggling the 2 maps to check where he is. Sometimes sometimes he changes speed because of the temperature of the building. It's just easier to keep the left vent closed and just monitor your power for the rest of the night. Make sure you do that about 1 AM. That's the best time to do it for me. I've worked out. I also have a massive problem with Cortez. Weirdly, he's one of the easiest characters to deal with, and I still have big problems with him because of another character, Half Skull, which you've seen appear on the screen. If Half Skull appears on your monitor, you've got to flick down the camera, or else he will destroy your camera, and you won't be able to use it for the rest of the night, which is really bad. Problem I have is when I'm trying to get rid of him, I'll flick it down quickly, but because Cortez will be there on the other side of the desk, I won't see him and he'll kill me. And every time you flick down the monitor, you have to check your surroundings, both sides. This right here is awful, okay? Night Marina and Pac-Man at the same time. That's bad, because you need to get the fruit quickly, and also you can't be looking at your screen when Night Marina is there, so you've got to choose one or the other. Can you get the fruit really quickly, or do you have to flick up the camera in hopes that you don't run out of time? And as soon as you flick up your camera, sometimes something completely out of your control will happen. Half Skull will appear, you'll have to use the camera beacon, you'll have to get rid of Death Horse. It's just, this is the worst part for me, is when Night Marina and Pac-Man show up at the same time. But here, again, you can see it's in the top left, which is the easiest to get to, so I got very lucky, and I just got it, and moved on. Okay, as soon as it goes 3 AM, something crazy is about to happen. They are going to throw everything they have at you. Literally every character will come after you when 3 AM happens, or around about 3 AM. I have died loads of times at 3 AM, but you get used to the rhythm of it. What I do is I get rid of the ones on the screen, so Spider and why do I call him Pangle? Close the vents if I need to. Close the doors if I need to. Wait for the Pac-Man. I will immediately do Death Horse, because I do not want to deal with Death Horse. Valentina, get rid of the spiders, Night Marina shows up, and then you can do the rest on the cameras. So, those 2 as well. Now, I got pretty lucky here at 3 AM because I was so busy doing all the other characters, busy sorting out all the other characters, that I nearly forgot about Cam 8B and Shadows and BW1. So I got very lucky. I nearly lost that run. Here's a hit. This is a trick that I didn't realise until I had been practicing for ages. On the startup screen, it says for Sunny that you have to stay on her camera to reset the boiler. Not the case, because you can flip down your camera, your monitor. I did not know this. I worked that out way too late in practicing. So I was using it and I was trying to get used to that whole rhythm. So just be aware of that. You don't have to be looking at the monitor, but you do have to be on her camera. Now, here was my biggest mistake of the run. I saw BW1 on the staircase about to attack, and I didn't do anything. I don't know if I had used the camera beacon, I would have run out of power, but I don't think I would have, because I didn't actually run out of power when I was doing the run. This was a mistake of mine, and I got so unbelievably lucky later in this run, and I'll tell you what I mean by that. I got so lucky. When that happens, at about 4 to 5 AM, BW1 will show up on his own. That happens quite regularly. Just use the camera beacon, don't risk it. Don't wait for Shadows, because he won't wait for Shadows. He will just arrive in your office. And there was my mistake. There he is in my office, throwing nerve gas at me. Somehow I managed to do the Pac-Man without even looking. Quite proud of that. But now here's the thing. George could appear on the screen at any moment, and if that happens, then I have to use the camera beacon. For some reason, not once did George show up on my screens. Not once did I have to use the camera beacon. And that saved my life. About halfway through 5 AM, use your flash on the camera beacon for the final time and just forget about it, because if you try again later, before Shadows is even near your office, you're going to run out of power really quickly. So just do it once, 5 AM, and forget about him. Another thing to note about the music box at 5 AM is it winds down so quickly, and it's so unfair, because I've died to pixels so many times at 5 AM. It's frightening. Just make sure you are even more vigilant when it comes to checking the music box. Do it so much more often. Just do it as soon as... Don't even think about anything else. Do the music box. You'll be fine. There's Shadow again, and I have forgotten, and that's it. I don't have to use it again. That is the last time I even have to worry about Shadows. And now I just have to deal with the rest of them, which will show up at exactly the same time. There they both go, and that's them gone for the rest of the night. Wind up the music box. Check the cameras. Do that. Doesn't matter, because that's the end of the run. And there's my reaction. And that's about it for Sinister 16, Animate as Hell. I think I've covered everything. I'm going to rack my brain just to make sure. Now, I will admit, there's not a whole lot of luck involved, which is weird, because a lot of other FNAF games, you have to be really, really lucky to beat their hardest difficulties, but there's not too much luck involved in this one. I imagine as soon as it gets to 25 characters, it's going to be insane, and if you're not lucky, then you're just never going to win, like me. But anyway, thank you for watching. I'm glad I could finally beat Animator's Hell for once and for all. I love this game so much. I look forward to what happens in the future. I hope something happens in the future and it's not been cancelled, because this is such a great game and I love the project and I just love the community around it. So thank you everyone again for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.